set stuff up over here. Hello, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. This is my first Instagram live in a very long time. I've been doing a really good job of going live on TikTok on my lunch breaks, but I realized that I've been neglecting Instagram, so I thought I would come over here and hang out tonight. As usual with my lives, I am here to talk about anything. It can be abuse related. Obviously, I'll talk about some of the things that I have going on that I hope might be able to help people, because that's really what I'm here for. I'm also down to just hang out. If you want to ask me anything about my life, other things I enjoy doing, tell me something that you enjoy, that's fine too. But yeah, anything is fair game. I haven't been doing the Ask Me Anythings that I was doing on Instagram for a long time. So since I'm over here on Instagram, if there's something that you've been wanting to ask me, you can ask me here. If you want to ask me about my podcast or any recent content that you've seen of mine, if you want some clarification or you want to know more about something. Wow, my hair's looking really rough, especially on, not looking too bad on Instagram, but over on the other screen, we're looking really rough. That's okay. That's what we're real over here. I'm a real human. Anyway, so welcome in, say hello, especially if you're new here. Let me know who you are, where you're from, and yeah, ask me anything. My lives tend to be really safe places, so if you're afraid to ask something, you don't have to. And also, now that we're on Instagram, I know Kat, who just popped in, prefers when I go live on TikTok, but Instagram has the like anonymous question little bubble thing at the bottom. So if you want to ask me something and you don't want to ask it in the group, you can do that there. And also YouTube and Facebook people, hello, feel free to ask me anything. I'll be able to read it from over here as well. So a couple of things while we wait for people to say whatever they want to say. I do have this weekend, this Saturday is my LGBTQ survivor support group that I run with Trey De La Torre. It's one Saturday a month at 2:30 Pacific time. And yeah, it's just a safe space for queer folks who are in the healing process or might still be in abusive relationships, or maybe it's a parent, or it could really be anybody. But we just wanted to create a safe space for queer folks to come and to be able to process, what we go through when we are realizing that we're in abusive relationships, or when we've already left and we're healing from them. Because a lot of times, when we're out in the community, even if we have an incredible support group that's for anybody, a lot of times we feel a little different when we're in those groups. And Trey will always point out that sometimes he's wondering while he's sharing in those groups if there's anyone, even just one person in the group, that's not safe to be sharing these kinds of things as a queer person. So yeah, and we just kind of wanted to create a space that we wish that we had when we were leaving, or after we had left our abusers and we were trying to recover. Hi Emma, what time is it where you are? My goodness. So yeah, that is going to be this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. Feel free to ask me any questions about that. Hi Alejandro. Happy Wednesday. Thank you. You too. I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah, you can. There's a little question bubble at the bottom, which is pretty cool. I just like TikTok because I can weed out the trolls. Yeah, you have all the power on TikTok and none over here. So what a lovely Wednesday it is. Oh, good. I'm so glad. It's a nice day out here today, so I can't complain about that. How many spots are still open for that? I signed up for the last one and couldn't make it. Oh, I'm sorry. I did realize that we had one less than we had thought we were going to have. So that was you. I'm sorry you didn't make it. I hope you're okay. It was a really good session, and so I'm really looking forward to this next one. There are still spots available, so feel free to sign up. I believe I currently have the link up in my stories, and I will have it in my stories from today to Saturday. And then we'll have one the next month as well. We're going to be doing it every month. You don't have to come to all of them. But of course, it's an ongoing support group as well. And I feel like, you'll get to know some people. You'll have some support there. And then we do also have a support group on Facebook that is for people who have attended at least one of our sessions, so that, y'all can interact with the people that you've met. You can ask questions there. We want that to be sort of a peer-run group, so that Trey and I aren't dipping our hands in yet another pie, because we both have just so much going on. But we do want to have that available for the people who are going through these things, because y'all are where we were, and again, like, we felt like we were so alone, so we wanted to create that space for you. Oh, 8:16 where you are, so you're on Eastern time. It's 12 p.m. Oh my goodness. I hope you have a nice lunch. Just discovered you binged all your content. Good, helpful stuff. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love when people find my stuff and binge watch it and tell me that they appreciate it. It means a lot to me. What's a resource that you recently discovered on your journey that's not well known? That's a great question. Thank you for asking. So I started, hi Chad, how's it going? Welcome in. I kind of just started being more active on Twitter, and I found a person called Dr. Emma Katz, and she wrote a book about coercive control in mothers and children's lives. And so where I'm at right now, I'm doing a lot of different work personally. Like, I'm sharing a lot on here, hopefully trying to offer some help to whoever might need it. But personally, I'm working through different things, like things that came before that or current struggles. Obviously, it's all interrelated. But I'm not still like really deep dive digging into my personal abuse with this situation that I talk about, right? But I got the book. It took me a little bit to get it because I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. But I'm just excited. I'm ready to dig into a little bit more about what it looks like for children when they have a parent who's being abused. It's something that's really difficult to talk about. Also very important to talk about. Again, it's called Coercive Control in Mothers and Children's Lives, or Children's and Mothers' Lives. I don't remember which. But she does a lot about talking about how, children are co-survivors and they're co-victims, and, just how they are affected by that. I'm working through it very slowly because it's one of those things where I'll read like a section and I need to take a break. But it's a very important resource, and I'm so glad that she wrote the book and that it's out there, because there still is, like, obviously more people are talking about abuse and more people are educating and more people are writing, sharing their stories and everything like that. But to have those resources that are written by folks with PhDs who have done the work, they've done the studies, they've done the interviews, they've done all the stuff, and then having it written in a way that can be, it's such an incredible teaching tool. It's a very important book. So yeah, definitely put it on your wish list. It's a little bit pricey. It's like how do I say it? It's like an academic book. You know what I mean? It's for people who are like really gonna dig into that stuff. It's not an easy read. So yeah, but definitely important. So yeah, thanks for asking about that. I'm trying to think if there's any other resources that have been. I think another thing that's helped me lately, that's not necessarily, it is, again, it's all interrelated, right? All of our whole story, it's all interrelated. But Running on Empty is another book that has really helped me. I listened to it on Audible, and then I chose to buy it because I would like to, when I get a little bit more organized, which I say that like every day, I would like to talk more about childhood emotional neglect, which is something that I really care about. It's something that's really important to me. Hi, Kaylee. Welcome in. And so Running on Empty is a book that really helped me to recognize some of the things that I experienced as a child, that my son's dad experienced as a child. Like, why is he like he is? Why am I like I am? Why some of my adult relationships have looked the way that they have, and ways that I would like to not do that to my son, right? Like, you're listening to it and you're like, oh man, and she does a really good job of not being like, all of our parents suck. She's like, man, our parents were not given the tools to raise us, and this is really unfortunate, and this is how that looks for us. And gives lots of examples on what that can look like. And so you're listening to it from your perspective as a child, and then you're also listening, if you have kids, as from your perspective as a parent. So kind of hard to read, but very important. So keep that one in mind as well. Hi, Keegan. Welcome in. So I have that. Also, I have, if you follow me, you know this, I am a trauma recovery coach, and I do have some space available in the coming weeks for anyone who might want to book an appointment with me. I have a couple different options. I have 30-minute and 60-minute sessions, and I just put out a 6-week package, which is going to be a little bit more of because a lot of times when you're coming sort of like, I mean, you don't have to do all 6 weeks back to back, but when you're just coming at random, what I have found is that it's really hard for you to continue because you're not necessarily committed. You're sort of doing check-ins. And as survivors, when we're in these relationships, we are like, we're peeking out and we're like, I got to get out of this. I need some help. But then we're back in it. We're still being abused. We're still living with this person. And so the 6-week program is designed to be a little bit more like you're committed. Like we're making a plan for you to get out. We're working on your healing. We're arming you with some tools to make sure that this person can't do the things that they've been doing. So I put that package out, and I also have a texting/email support package if that's something that you might be interested in. Hey Ben, how's it going? Oops, I accidentally paused. So that's an option too. So check those out if you're interested. And I'm not going to talk anymore about the things that I'm offering, except for I'll mention the support group again, because that's Saturday. And like I said, there's still space available, but I want you all to have the opportunity to ask me questions if you want to process something that you're going through. Yeah, ask me about resources if you want to know, whatever. I'm an open book. So hi, Emmy, welcome in. What book is this? Tuned in late, missed the title. So the last one that I was talking about is called Running on Empty, and it's about childhood emotional neglect, which many of us experienced. Hi, Sadie. Hi, Crystal. Welcome in. But yeah, with my lives, you can ask me anything, and if nobody asks me anything, I will just ramble. I will just start talking about stuff from my life. Or let's see. New podcast out today. I didn't share anything about that today. I didn't really share the links or anything for the podcast, but I talk about how a lot of times when we're in abusive relationships, we lose our voice and we lose our ability to talk to people and, talk about what's going on. We're conditioned to not share our experiences. Of course, I'm not going to give the whole podcast here. It's on YouTube if you want to watch it there. That has captions. So if you need captions, that's there. And, it's on Spotify, iTunes, all of that stuff. So yeah, that was like sort of a realization that I had about a difference between when I was married to someone who wasn't abusive, but maybe, both had some childhood emotional neglect, maybe not some great communication. And then when I was with my abuser, the way that I would talk to my mom, the things that I was able to share with her when I was with my ex-husband versus when I was with my abuser, and how, when I told her I was leaving my marriage, she was like, yeah, I saw this coming. And when I was like, I need your help, she was like, what the hell's really going on here? Hola, Ilich, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué tal, Brasil? Qué envidia. My academic side is going to be so excited for my summer reading list. Give us all the books and podcasts. Yes, I love that. So last year, 2022 was my book of academic reading, my year of academic reading. And I plowed through so many books about abuse and, again, childhood emotional neglect and trauma, trauma stewardship and all of that stuff. And I am exhausted in terms of those books and that kind of reading. And so at this point, I keep one near me because I do want to keep learning and I do want to continue to share the things. Hi, Marie. How's it going? Oop and poop, not the same. But right now I'm reading a lot of like Tudor history, Plantagenet history, like late medieval British history. One of my goals for this year was to read or reread all of Philippa Gregory's Tudor novels, Plantagenet novels. So I'm like 6 down already this year. I do use Audible books, so that helps. I would probably only be like 2 in if I didn't use Audible. Always have one on Audible, always have one on, a real book, one on the Kindle. But anyway, I have a feeling my summer reading is going to be really light because, like I said, it's so hard to read those things after you've and I did my trauma recovery course. So it's just like trauma. Last year was just trauma, like eating all the trauma information for breakfast. And this year I'm like, I'll talk about the trauma, learn a little bit more, keep learning. We always want to keep learning. But I got to read. It's weird. I got to read about Tudor England, which is freaking horrible. Like the way they treated people. Anyway, I don't know. That's weird. 15 years later, I still fall back to old habits from time to time. does not have to do with me, but to the person I used to live with. Thank you for being there. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, it's really hard, and obviously the longer that we are dealing with and experiencing abuse, like, if we grew up with abuse, or, if we live with like a sibling who was abusive towards us, and then, you move out, and even when that person's not there, this is one thing that happens is, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication and healing, and, healing looks different for everybody, but we have to literally retrain our brains. And, you know, a lot of times we'll be doing really well. Hi, Cami, welcome in. Hi, Mumphy, welcome in. How's it going? Yeah, long time no see. I know I go live on TikTok pretty much every week now. I've disciplined myself because I realize that it's really important for me to be able to connect with all of you. And I think for you to be able to connect with me and see, a little bit more of who I am, ask me questions and stuff more than just like, what was she posting? It's like, whatever. You can see what I'm like actually like, at least for an hour. But Instagram has just been neglected, which is weird because I love Instagram. I love my community over there. Instagram is a little bit more of like everything about Lindsay versus just abuse, where all my other platforms right now are pretty much just abuse related stuff. So, yeah. Oh, Kat. Oh, Kat, you're right. You have no control over here. Oh, man, there's a lot of feet stuff. I mean, I'm wearing Blundstones and they're tied. They're not coming off. I don't care. Oh, I mean, I wouldn't take them off even if I had like sandals on. But so anyway, yeah, all good, but good to see you. Good to see you too. How are you doing? And how is everyone? I usually just like ask how everyone's doing in the beginning, but yeah, feel free to let me know how you're doing when you're popping in here. Tell me who you are if you're new here. Hi, welcome in. I reported them, but that's all I can do. I know you're just sitting there like, if this was TikTok, you would have yeeted them already. It's always good to throw in a fun read. And my friends are attempting to convince me to read the Twilight series. You could not pay me to read Twilight. Oh my gosh. I remember when I was in college, my best friend was obsessed with Twilight. She like read all the books, watched all the movies, and she like convinced me to do it. And I did it. But now looking back, I have a hard time reading about, like, I have a friend who loves, she is the book reader of all book readers, and she reads a lot of YA. And I can't do it. Like, I was like, oh, there's this cute little LGBTQ book. I love it. I love the representation. Like, I'm an adult who came out late, loved to see it. I don't like to read. I don't read a lot of novels except for if it's like historical fiction. I don't know what that's about, but like love stories and all, they're like so cliche. Like, if you give me a lesbian novel, just hand it to me without reading it. I'll tell you what's going to happen. And sure enough, that's how it happens. Like the enemies to lovers trope. It's like always the same, right? And it's like, oh, let me guess, they get trapped in a room and they hate each other. But then like 3 days later, they're madly in love and they're going to get married and they have crazy lesbian sex, all that stuff, right? It's all the same. And so I don't read a lot of novels, but my point is that, the YA stuff, like, I can't read about teenagers. Like, I'll start a book and they're like, and then I went to my high school and my teacher was like, and I can't do it. I can't do it, which is also really weird because, again, when I read my tutor novels, a lot of times they're like 12 because they were getting married when they were like 12 or 14. Something is off here. Something is weird. I can't read about modern day children, but I can read about queens getting married when they're 14. Anyway, is it possible for you to create a file of your recommended books? I am driving right now and I can't make a note of the childhood emotional neglect book. I am starting my work on that. Hey, Kat, can you text me after this and remind me to do that? I'll make a little PDF like downloadable file thing and I'll put it in my profile because that's a really good idea. I would love to do that. I can actually email myself. That helps me sometimes. I'll email myself a reminder, but I will totally forget. And I think that's a really good idea. I can't do romance novels. I need a good mystery novel, maybe a little horror. I feel like this is a trauma thing because I can't, and I also like movies. I won't watch anything that's not real or just don't waste my time. I'm not watching that. I'm not doing it. Sure can. Thank you so much, Kat. I'm fine. Question is, how are you? You are welcome in northern Sweden if you feel like it. Okay, to be honest with you, I may be in northern Sweden this summer. I'm planning a trip with my son. We are going to swing back to Copenhagen because I really liked Copenhagen. I'm going to take him there, and I was thinking of visiting, well, maybe not northern Sweden, because now I'm thinking on the map, Stockholm is like there, not there, because I'm not that familiar with like Nordic, is it Nordic? Is that the word? Or like Scandinavian geography. But like when I was there, I was like, holy crap, y'all realize like Finland and Sweden and Norway, like those countries are like they just go up forever. And I had someone when I was in Denmark. She was like, "Yeah, it's really cold here. I live in northern Sweden." And I was like, "Really? How cold is it?" And she told me like where she lives, and it was so cold. And I was like, "You literally live at like what? It's just so far up there." Anyway, so I think I was gonna go to Oslo and maybe Stockholm. I was looking at Helsinki, but then I realized like it's a whole plane ride, and I'm gonna be really trying to head south because I really like warm weather. But I definitely want to take him back to that area because I really liked it when I was there, and I wanted to share it with him because I just loved it. I always liked horror movies. I'm glad he didn't take that away from me. I don't like horror movies. I never liked them. I have too many problems. I don't like to be scared, and my mind like plays tricks on me. So yes, sure can. Thanks, Kat. The lesbian novel tropes are so true. The lawyer and the librarian, or the doctor and the florist. Yeah, it's always it's so cheesy. They're all the same. Prove me wrong. Sweden is beautiful. Yes, it really is. So weird to say, but I'm going through shut and back right now. I don't think I follow, but I think I follow. And you weirdly bring me a lot of comfort, even though I don't know you. That means a lot to me. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for telling me that. How much north up in Sweden? I am 80 kilometers from Stockholm. I probably wouldn't go much past Stockholm because we travel without cars. I mean, obviously, like I was super impressed with like the rail system when I was there. So we'll just be like railing it around probably. That sounds weird. Training it around. So I'll probably go to Stockholm and then we'll head back south. So what's one silly trait or quirk that you have that you notice in your son? Oh, that's such a good question. Thank you for asking me. Oops. I keep fidgeting and bumping the phone and then it's like knocking me out of Instagram. So I'm sorry about that. To be honest with you, I just got a little bit sad for like small Lindsay. Um, well, he's left-handed and I'm left-handed, so that's a trait. A quirk, like he's a goofy little dude. We have this weird way of talking to each other. It's not baby talk, but we sort of make up words. Like I'll be like, "Did you just flip down?" And he's like, "I did." Like we just make up words and we understand what each other's saying. And um and he's just like really silly, and I always let him be that silly person because I think that I was really silly. But then like your family is like, stop, like you're annoying. And then I don't want to trigger anybody, and then like you go to school and you're not supposed to do those things, and society's like, stop being weird. And I just let him be goofy, and it's really cool to see those things in him. And then I try to be goofy back with him if I'm not too tired. Being a mom, you're pretty much always tired. So hey, I'm a young HR at the Croc factory in Jersey. My conference Friday, the topic is what's more comfortable to a woman, Crocs or moccasins? If you have a second, ma'am, I'd love a woman's opinion. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say moccasins. Wait, so I'm thinking of moccasins that have like really soft lining in them. No, I don't know. See, I don't wear moccasins or Crocs, but I had a friend who, they weren't Crocs, but I had a friend who gave me like a Croc style thing, and they were super comfortable for like putting on, popping like outside to the yard and popping back in. They're just like foamy. I don't know. Y'all can answer the question because I don't know. Shitting back. My bad fast typing. And on a day off of hard work, which would you most likely wear, Crocs or moccasins? That's really hard. So I have a pair of like UGG slippers. They're like moccasin slippers that are like it's not real fur, but they're like fur line that I got at a thrift shop. They were like new when I got them. I got them at a thrift shop, and I wear them as like house slippers because I'm 90 years old. But the Crocs I got rid of them because like I go through phases where I'll get stuff at like thrift shops, and I'm like, yeah, I like this, and then I donate it. But I really like try to not have that much stuff, so I donate a lot of stuff, and then later on, I'm like, man, I actually did enjoy having those around to like slip on and run outside. And the Croc type shoe, they weren't Crocs. I really did enjoy them. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think they're cute. Like I wouldn't wear either one of them out in public, but I love my moccasin house slippers, and I loved my Croc garden shoe thingies. So yes, for letting kids be kids. Yes, absolutely. And trying to guard that space for him and not letting anyone else. It bothers me a lot when another adult around him will be like, that's enough, or okay, like obviously at night a lot of times I have to wind him down, and so I'll do something like, that's really funny, it's almost bedtime, so let's do that 2 more times, or pick a number of how many more times. I can try to like gauge like how he's feeling, like maybe he needs 5 more times or something like that. So yeah, we do that. I don't like when people are like, that's enough, because I remember that feeling of being like, wow, I'm too much for people. I'm just trying to be myself. I'm just excited. And people being like, are you done? No matter what, you and your kid are so very welcome to me in my hobbies place. Stockholm is just a place. Sweden is much more, and northern Sweden is definitely something to see. Yeah, I agree with you. I did really, really like Copenhagen. But one of my favorite things when I travel is like when I go to Spain, I go to small towns. I don't go to Madrid. I don't go to Barcelona. I would go to Madrid to visit a friend, or Barcelona to visit a friend, but I usually go to small towns because, one, they're cheaper, so you can spend more time there if you're not in like big cities. So what I would do is, if I could get to Stockholm and spend a day and check it off the list, and then find like a cool place that's easy to get to. Like when I was in Copenhagen, I went to Malmo, and then I took the train up to Lund and Helsingborg. And I did those both in one day because I was like, I gotta go. And so I went out to like other towns that I could walk around. And I really like historic things, and I like castles, and I like things like that, but I don't necessarily want to go to the ones that are expensive and super touristy and stuff like that. So I do like to check things off my list, but I prefer smaller towns, but still with like things to do. Our favorite town in Spain is very, very small, and we've been back twice. I've been there like 10 times, but my son has been there twice, and we'll go back this summer because that's where my friends live. So did your abuser try to change the music you listen to? Marie, I don't know if you're still here, but I see y'all saying, mine tried to as well. No, my abuser was really into music. They listened to a lot of music. They had good taste in music. I enjoyed the music that they listened to. They were a CrossFit coach, so they were always playing music at work and like, whatever. We did share a lot of taste in music. One thing that I noticed is, especially in the beginning when we met, was that they immediately adopted all of the music that I liked. They were listening to Selena. They were listening to Marina. They were listening to Spanish, like reggaeton, all the things that I listen to. And that's a big red flag. So it's one thing to say, we're in the car, we can listen to your kind of music. I like it. I don't know this. I don't mind listening to this. And maybe you do come to like the same music as the other person. You're listening to it. It's good music if they have good taste, right? But for someone to immediately come along, and this doesn't just apply to music, and all of a sudden they like all the things that you do, like they're taking on your personality. Sounds like mirroring. Exactly. It's mirroring. Because a lot of abusive people, I'm very cautious I no longer will say narcissist, because I think that it's overused and it takes away the power of what it really is for people who have experienced abuse at the hands of a narcissist. And of course, not every abusive person is a narcissist, so abusive people, but many narcissists will take on the qualities and the hobbies and all of those things of their victims, because many of them don't really have their own personality. They're just like, Lee Hammock will say, oh, I don't know, I lost connection on my phone, on Instagram. Lee Hammock will say, sorry about that, Instagram, that he is just like a compilation of lots of different people. It's like if you're taking little balls of Play-Doh of all different colors and then putting them all together in one thing. Like that's how they are. They're just picking up these qualities from other people because they don't even know who they are. They've spent their lives masking. Um, Immediately he was trying to change mine. Yeah, I mean, totally. Yeah, that's if if you're living with an abusive person, here's the thing. Pretty much everything they do, like there's a reason for it, right? So we might not have the same experience and because they are different, but pretty much everything they do, there's a reason for it. Like, for example, when I met my abuser, they dressed him like a doll baby. They would put him in like overalls and like the cutest shirts. Like I had cute clothes for him. Um, and I always have. And I've also had some like, I mean, most of my clothes that I have for him are from Goodwill or hand me downs, but some of them were like really, really cute and like fashionable. And they would put him in those things all the time. And then all of a sudden there was a shift and they would dress him in rags, like rags. I'm gonna come home like, this doesn't match. There's like stains all like, why is he in this outfit? I mean, that's fine. Like we're just hanging out at home or he's like painting or he's getting dirty. Like that's what those clothes are for. But there was a big switch. And the thing is that none of your abusers may have done that. Maybe it's just mine, but there's always a reason for it. And I know that that sounds crazy or paranoid, but they just do these things, right? And it is really hard because then when you're dealing with people who aren't abusive, like it's hard to stop being like, why they do that? Why they do that? I no longer question, like if someone I'm around is like, why are they doing this or why are they doing that? But after you're with someone abusive, there's just a lot of questions. Like, is this a part of it? It's a part of it. It's all a part of it. Not for me. What I wasn't allowed to put the volume at an odd number. I pronounced volume weird. Caught it there. I mean, so yeah, I mean that could be like some people have like superstitions or some for some reason, yeah. But that's something, right? That's interesting. Okay. What else, y'all? That was a good question. Like I said, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Doesn't have to be abuse related. I do also very much enjoy the travel talk, so I appreciate that. Just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you. I like honestly, I say this every single time, but it really means a lot to me when y'all say that. It keeps me going. That keeps me going, and then just knowing that like silence helps nobody. Like obviously I have to take care of myself and I don't feel like talking about it. I don't. Um but this stuff is so important and um people need help. People need support. So here's a random one. I like you, hot mess. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you've been in here before, but you asked really good questions. When you release your biopic to Netflix, which celebrity should play you? Ana de Armas, period. I love her. She's beautiful. She's amazing. Is the abuser your baby daddy? No. Is your abuser aware of the content you make? I do think so. Yes. I actually did run into them the other day, and it was the first time that I've seen them since I left, and I wasn't going to talk about it, and I wasn't going to make any content about it because I don't know if they're checking on me, and I figured that if I did, they would be like, I knew she was still going to talk about me, and she was going to like, oh, like she saw me, now she's talking about it, but I thought that I would tell you that I do think that they did. They do know because when they saw me, they froze like a deer in the headlights, just stared at me, and I just looked at them like this. And then I looked back at my friend and I was like, so what happened next? And they turned around and left. Like they left the coffee shop. They fled. So, yeah, I do have a feeling that like if I was not doing what I was doing and we had just broken up and they hadn't seen me for a year, I think that they would have either talked to me or texted me afterwards. A year ago, they would have texted me. They did text me after they drove past me a year ago, and they were like, I just drove past you. I hope you're well. And I have them blocked on pretty much everything, so maybe they know that. But they didn't try to reach out or anything, and they didn't try to talk to me. They just like left. So I have a feeling that they know very well that I know exactly who they are, that I talk about it, that there's no reason to try to talk to me. And the person I was with, they know that that person knows too. So they just like literally like fled. So also they were probably with a victim and I didn't see who they were with. I just literally like looked like, and then I just like kept talking. But sure that they were with somebody that they didn't want me to, they didn't want that person to see who I was or whatever. I don't know. I'm late. What's the topic? We're just chilling. We're just hanging out. You can literally ask me anything. So that was going to be my next question. Do you ever see them? Yeah, that was the first time. And it felt good to me because I was like so not bothered by it. And like, of course, knowing that we live in a similar area and I spent a lot of time in that town because I have a lot of friends there, it was bound to happen at some point. And it's not that I was dreading it, but I was just, expecting that at some point we'd cross paths. Like maybe I would see them like walking down an aisle at Target or something. I don't know. And I got over with and I wasn't bothered by it. I didn't have nightmares. I didn't get agitated or anything like that. I was just like, well, that was that. I was done. So I won't try to change your mind, but I do know you like to travel and think you would like Swedish summer when the sun does not ever go down. When does the summer start? Because unfortunately, I think I'll be there before it's really nice out. Because I will be definitely heading to Spain for like June. What a common phrase or comment family and friends make to survivors that's just not helpful to the healing process? Why didn't you tell me? You should have told me. That's not helpful at all. I had an aunt say that and I was like, one, I don't know you that well, too, because you literally couldn't have helped me. Unless you're gonna show up at someone's house because you find out they're being abused and literally kidnap them and like bring a police officer. Well, I don't know what the police officer is going to do. Like, bye. Actually, it'll be May. We're going to Iceland for like 3 days for a stopover. And then we're going to be in Copenhagen. And I have like 3 weeks that are not planned. So it's possible. Message me after. We'll talk about it. I'm still happy to talk about this here, but we can definitely like, if you message me afterwards, we can like, I can ask questions about like, what's the whole Sweden thing. But I really did like Sweden a lot. Obviously I was just in Malmo. So, take the train across the bridge. Because I had to, because I was like, geographically, I was like, oh, it's literally right there. I'm crossing that bridge. I'm not going to be in Copenhagen and not cross the bridge. I could throw a rock to it. So I went. What are some more? Okay, I got distracted. Stop talking about it. Why didn't you leave them? I would never let someone treat me like that. Marie, on Facebook shared those, and I totally agree. Those are very good examples. Not helpful. They didn't seem that bad to me. Like when I was around them, they were nice, like those kinds of things. Unless you're going to say that is so messed up. Like every time I was around them, they were so nice. Like it's so creepy to me that they were able to hide it so well. Because then you're saying, I see you. I see you. I understand what you're saying. I'm here for you. Versus, I don't know if I believe your story. Well, they were always nice around me. No, don't do that. I would never let someone treat me like that. Not helpful. I just saw a video by Dr. Kerry McAvoy, who is an educator, survivor. She's a psychologist. I don't want to be wrong. She wrote a book about her experience. I got to meet her in Austin, Texas. But anyway, she made a video the other day, and she said something like that. Like if you have never been in a situation like that, you literally cannot say that you never would, because probably all of us thought that we never would. Or we never would again, because some of us have been through more than one situation where we're like, we think we're doing good. I've had people say that, like, I thought I was doing so well, and then someone came along, and they tricked me again, because it can be really subtle. And some people are really good at hiding it for longer, especially if it's a long distance relationship. If it's, someone that you're not seeing all the time, like people have hidden whole ass families. People have done some crazy things. So, And it's not because we're dumb. It's not because we're weak. It's because they literally come in and start delivering like a medicine, like the remedy that you didn't know you needed or wanted. It's like there was this video going around a while ago of like this little bird that walks up to a little ball of something and like slurps it up into its beak. And a lot of people will use it for addiction. A lot of people will use it for, I've seen people use it about abuse and things like that. And the bird's just like, fine, like, oh, this little ball of whatever, slurp it up. And then they have this high. From the very beginning, they're delivering that high medicine. And this is where the victim shamers will say, like, well, it's your fault because you were damaged. That's why you were so high on the medicine. Well, most people do like to feel special and do like attention and do like, whatever. It's just that, not everyone realizes that in extremes, like it's abuse. And a lot of people are at a point in their own trauma that, they do want that. They do want that love bombing, and they think it's normal and it's encouraged. And it's like, if you watch a movie or you read a book, which I was just talking about books, people are falling in love in a week, in 3 days. I mean, I see it on TikTok all the time where, and the queer community, like, this is a huge thing. And we talk about this a lot. Trey and I talk about this a lot with our, our queer content, is that, they'll say, like, a straight person asks, like, how many months did it take for your partner to say, I love you? And they're going, months? In other words, mine told me in 2 days. Mine didn't. Mine told me in 2 days. Like, you straight people, it's taking you months because it's so encouraged and it's so normalized for us to seek that out. In fact, when I left my abuser, there was a girl that I met on an app, and we met up and we became friends. And I told a friend that I was going to go meet someone, and then I didn't say anything after that. And she's still my friend. We just had our 1 year like friend anniversary. And I love her. Like, I genuinely love her. But my friend, who's also queer, was like, hey, why haven't you told me anything about this person? What's going on? Like, why are you hiding this from me? And I'm like, no, because I'm literally not dating her. I'm not doing anything. And the fact that you are expecting me to meet someone and immediately report back that I'm in love and I'm like getting married, like, this is super unhealthy. It's just what's expected. And if you don't, something's wrong. If you move slowly, well, like, do you guys even like each other? I think that's what she said. Do you guys even like each other? I was like, do you think I'm in a place to date? Like, I'm literally just like trying to make connections and make friends here. People always ask why, but they never understand, no matter how much you explain. Yeah. And it's great. Good for them that they don't understand. But like, I don't understand what it feels like to have a broken leg, but I can have empathy and I can understand that that's a thing that happens to people. I don't understand what it's like to be a person of color, because I'm not a person of color, but I can have empathy and understanding that you have this lived reality. Your reality is your reality. It is real. It is happening. The things that you live day in, day out. If you're straight, you don't understand what it's like to be a queer person in a queer body in this world, especially right now with the political environment. But you can have empathy and you can realize and understand that we have a certain experience, right? It's the same with abuse. I don't have to understand it by living it, but I can understand that you have this lived experience and it's real. I think a comment that gets my skin boiling is, why didn't you just leave? It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I've made a lot of content about that, showing newspaper article reportings about women who did not make it out. I made a podcast episode about why saying just leave is not going to work. Lisa Sunny from Stronger Than Before had a whole bunch of us send her video clips talking about what happened when we tried to leave. And it's not good. And so people really do need to understand that. There's so much more than just leave. You get so normalized during the relationship that you do not recognize yourself. Actually, that's very true. The first day I met my fiance, I told her we were going to get married and I'm a normal straight dude and she's a female. Okay. Right on. I wish there was a snapping fingers emoji, but just know I'm snapping in agreement. Preach. Thank you. I would say almost every live I do go off. There's always a topic that I feel I just am passionate about this, but what were the first steps you took to rediscovering yourself recently out of a not great relationship of 9 years? This is one of the things that I really want to create, again, like a PDF or some kind of tool that people can get of me sharing that with all of you. But obviously getting rid of literally every single person who knew them and every single person who invalidated my experience. So everyone who was like, stop talking about it. Why don't you leave? All of that stuff, gone. I don't care who you are, you're out. Because you're holding back my healing. Some innocent people probably were removed, but I don't care. And yeah, that might sound really harsh, but again, I don't care. And then finding hobbies. Someone asked that question in Austin, Texas at the Narc Avengers meet and greet, and that's what I said. And I almost started crying because you don't know yourself when you leave. You don't know who you are. You have forgotten who you are. And so either going back and reclaiming hobbies that they took from you, you're amazing. Thank you. You're amazing. I lost CrossFit, which I was glad to give up at the end of the day when I realized how toxic that gym was. And I know that not all of them are, but I'm not interested in that again. I lost hiking. I kind of didn't lose camping because we would go with my son and his dad. We would all go. But I lost hiking. I lost traveling. I lost dancing. I lost speaking Spanish. I lost, okay. There's a couple more. I can't think of anything, but I took back hiking. I took back dancing. I took back speaking Spanish. I took back traveling, and I took up new things. I took up pole dancing and boxing, both of those a year ago. I'm just at my 1 year of both of those things, and I still do them, and I love them. They're all new hobbies. So trying something new that you've always wanted to try, take an art class, go on meetup.com or the app and find a local meetup and be like, screw it, I'm going to go to a writing class. There's a group that gets together, or language exchange, or whatever it is you've always wanted to do, and try it. Even if you only try it one time, it's super empowering. And go try something else, or try your hobby again, one thing at a time, because when you first leave, it's really overwhelming. Everyone I know asked why I did not leave, but no one turned to my partner into the police or wanted to testify except one. She's the reason I and my kids live today. I'm so glad that you had her, and I'm so glad that she was brave enough to do that. The thing is that most people really are. I made a video, a TikTok about, it was that drink water and mind my business. And it was the people at the gym when they found out my partner was abusive, and they're just staring, and then they start dancing. I just did a dance. And that's how it is, because more people are going to say, oh, this is yucky. Why is she talking about this? I'm going to pretend it didn't happen. I'm going to side with the abuser, or I'm just going to stay out of it. I'm going to stay neutral. If you're neutral, you're siding with the abuser. You're supporting and enabling abuse. Of course, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to get involved with the police. I don't want this. I don't want that. So all the people that I knew in the town that I lived, the friends that I hung out with, wanted to hear my stories and my situations while I was with my abuser. They wanted me to have coffee with them and talk about the things that I felt were going on. But as soon as I left and I named it as abuse, they disappeared. They went radio silent, and they hung out with my abuser at CrossFit. And I saw them in pictures standing next to my abuser, knowing what was going on, knowing that my son was being abused. They're all there. They were all there. And so that's one example of how most people are. Most people are going to do that. So you have to know that when you're leaving. And I remember being afraid. I was like, I'm going to lose friends. I'm going to lose. I am so glad that I lost those people, right? My healing would not be what it is today if I was still talking to that kind of person. On the other hand, there was an Airbnb host who chose to send me a message after I was in Airbnb in Mount Rainier National Park, and we fought for hours. And I don't know if they heard some things, but either way, if they heard things, they heard me crying. They heard me, what I was saying about our relationship. I don't know what I was saying, but I can remember crying and pacing, and it went on and on and on. But I do know that they saw our body language throughout the visit, and they chose to message me. The woman chose to message me, and I didn't find that message. So it was October of 2020. I found it when it might have been this summer when I was in Spain. It was one of the times that I was in Spain with my son. So it was either this fall of 2021 or this summer. And I cried because it was like a private message, how they can like leave you a public review and then send a private message. And she was like, you were lovely. And we were really worried about you because the person that you were with had really bad energy. And we are worried that they're going to harm you, basically, or that they're going to affect your life in some way. Like, they were just very worried about me, and they chose to send me that message. And again, unfortunately, I didn't see it. Had I seen it at the time, I probably, like, maybe it would have helped plant more seeds in my brain to process what was going on. But again, as you know, when we're in it, we don't see the things the way other people do. But I was like, I messaged her and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if you remember me, but you don't know how much it means to me that you took the time to send this message. Like, if you see something and you feel like something is going on, hi Nia, how's it going? Don't be that person who's going to step back and say, I'm going to remain neutral. Like, that Airbnb host did not have to write that message, and she chose to do that. And again, wasn't able to help me at the time, but validated what I had been going through. I tried to explain the whole rewiring of your brain. Some people don't get it. The thing about that is, if you don't get it, there's so many resources out there. You can literally just Google, what are the effects of abuse on people's brains? And it's right there. And you can find the most credible sources. You don't have to watch a TikTok and be like, well, that's a TikTok, right? You can do your research. And the thing is that people don't want to. Many people don't want to understand abuse, period. They are very good at manipulation. Even if you're a strong, confident person, when you first meet, they can rewire your whole system before you even realize it's happening. Thank you so much for saying that. I'm so glad you said that. One of the things that I am hearing a lot of people talk about is how educated they were before they met that person, right? So I have a bachelor's degree. I do not have a PhD. I don't have a master's degree, but I am a pretty educated person. I'm a pretty like world knowledge person. It happened to me. Dr. Kerry McAvoy, PhD. Dr. Andrew Sacchetti, who's coming on my podcast, PhD. Like, people who have PhDs in mental health, doctors, lawyers. It can literally happen to anybody. And so, this myth that it happens to like dumb, poor people. Yes, it happens to Yes, it happens to people who have generations of abuse handed down to them, because many people do live in a place where that's what they grew up with and they don't know any better. And so that can be handed down. But it's a myth that that's the only person who's ever going to go through that. You can be wealthy, you can be poor, you can be black, you can be white, you can be straight, you can be gay. It doesn't matter. It can happen to anybody. And like you said, it doesn't happen until, they will pull that rug from underneath you before you even realize it's gone. I love how I have my bachelor's in criminal justice, and it happened to me. Exactly. You know these things. You have this knowledge. I'll tell you what, I don't talk about this very often. I talked about it in therapy. It happened to me when I was 18. And so for the rest of my life between 18 and 31, it wasn't going to happen to me again. I was 18, so I just knew not to look for a person like him. And I didn't, right? I went for a queer person who I thought was nurturing and I thought was like me and whatever. And they pulled the rug out from under me before I realized. But you can have studied all the criminal minds, all the stuff, followed all the things, written freaking books all about it. Can still happen to you. Now, when people say it right away, I don't like it, even when they're saying it as a friend. Yeah, that's fair. What if you shared a friend's circle? Hannah, what do you mean by that? Yes, go back to the hobbies you used to love. Yes, or again, try new ones, because sometimes we're changing and growing. And also, Hannah, I just figured out what you were saying, so I'll come right back to you. But sometimes you're changing and growing and those things aren't for you anymore. Like I said, I was done with CrossFit when I saw the type of people who were going to that gym. I was like, I'm done. Again, there's probably some great CrossFit people out there, but this whole town that I live in was just complacent with letting this person coach them, knowing some of them followed me on Instagram and would show up at class and just be like, hi. I did have one person message me and they're like, I believe you. I don't feel comfortable having this person as my coach. I'm struggling with it, but they still went, right? Like that's how it is. So I'm like, I'm not, I have new hobbies now and I love them. Boxing and pole dancing both were very safe, supportive spaces. In fact, I'm hosting a pole dancing meet and greet. So if you live in the PNW, hit me up. I'll tell you about it. So what if you shared a friend circle? Okay. How do you recover? Okay. How do you recover from the heartbreak of losing your friends, though? Because them staying neutral broke my heart probably more than the abuse ever did. It is the only thing I still struggle with, the loss of my circle. Even though I know they aren't good friends, they were my friends since we were teenagers. So I had a friend circle with my abuser. We met, through the gym. We met through the same people. And I just realized that they were never my friends. They were all fairly new friends. They were never my friends. They were there, I think, because like some people really like drama. I think because they saw that it was a toxic relationship and were there for that, to be a part of it, to sometimes be a go-between. Many of them were flying monkeys afterwards, threatened me, called me names, all of that stuff. So I was grateful that they weeded themselves out. Now, if you have friends who you've had forever, and then, you start dating this person and you spend years together, whatever, and you just have this circle and those people do that. Like, it was still hard for me. It still hurt. It made me lose my trust to know that there's people out there. And I'm not that interested in making friends because how do I know that you haven't done what those people did? You might not be abusive, but you have enabled abuse before, right? And it's different if I meet someone and they're like, oh my gosh, I heard you talking about this and I realized that I have done that before. Well, reach out to that person and apologize and validate them. Like, don't be afraid to do that. Change, grow. It's like if you say or do something racist and someone corrects you, you're not a horrible person. You don't have to be like that for the rest of your life. You can take it and you can grow and you can not do that thing again. You can learn to be better. So, there's always that. But if those people are going to dig in and they're going to stay friends with your abuser, even many of these people will witness things. Like, again, one of the flying monkeys messaged me when I was in Spain and said that he knew that my abuser was abusive before I ever started dating them. Yeah, I knew. Someone else told me. I was like, what did they tell you? Well, how come you didn't tell me? And he was like, well, let me just ask you this. And describe, like, would they do this when they were drinking? Were they this? Were they that? And I was like, yes. Why did you never check on me? You live 3 blocks away from me. How come you never asked, was I okay? Was my son okay? Is there anything going on in this relationship? Do you need any help? Why did you just hold on to this knowledge and then, well, I know why. It's because he was trying to get me to trust him so that I would tell him. He was trying to use that knowledge that he did have to get me to trust him that he was a safe person to tell where I was. So I told him where I was and when I was coming back. And then he immediately told my abuser where I was and when I was coming back. So don't trust anyone when you're like, you have to be very careful who you think you can trust. And if your gut is like, if you're still confused, probably better just not. But yeah, it's very hard to heal from that. It's very hard to trust friends again after that. An incident like that was brought up during the Depp trial. I already don't remember what I said, so I'm not sure which one that was about. So, okay, scrolling back. Did you feel confused when you left? Yes, I did. Very confused, but I also did know what was going on. It's just that when you're breaking the trauma bond and you're like, you're still in cognitive dissonance and stuff like that, and you're trying to really understand. For me, it was like the fog started to lift and I started to really understand what had been happening. And I would have flashbacks of, instead of what I thought what was going on, what was really happening. But yes, of course I was confused. That's pretty much how it's going to be when you leave. I didn't know what CrossFit was initially. I just thought people I passed after work really liked lifting tires. Oh my God, that's hilarious. I mean, they do. You know what I mean? Even if people know they do not want to get involved. Yes. Yeah, that's very true. Most friends just leave when the going gets tough. I'm not that kind of person. Yeah, and it's really hard. And it can be really hard to be a friend of someone who is in an abusive relationship because they're not going to leave when you want them to leave, period. You have to be very patient. Where you went somewhere and people saw how they were treating you. Oh, I see. Yeah. I have to go, but thanks for answering my questions. I think the work you're doing is powerful, from Han in New Zealand. Thank you so much, Han, for hanging out. And I hope to see you again another time when I'm on. I will be doing TikTok tomorrow for my live. I will be going on there tomorrow. So probably around the same time, 5 p.m. Eastern. Eastern Pacific. Friends are there before, during, and after whatever happened, especially the one that turned the culprit in, because people see things, but someone actually do also. Pole dancing looks like so much fun. Would you ever try aerial acrobatics? I would try it. Don't know if I'd be good at it. I'm pretty much down to try anything. Except for like drugs. No thanks. Especially not healthy to have friends that are only around when you aren't doing well in life. How misleading. Well, I mean, it serves them to do that because they eat it up. Most people do not want to get involved. The ones that do, you can trust afterwards also. Yeah, the people who stepped up when I was trying to, clear my house out and stuff. Well, I mean, one of them was not a safe person for me to be around. But yeah, great people. Thanks, Lindsay, and everyone for the chat. East Coaster here, so heading to bed soon. Night all. Good night. Sleep well. On that note, I am going to go ahead and head out to go back to work. Unfortunately, because I forgot a book today, so it's going to be a real struggle. My whole family allows my daughter's abuser to be in their homes' lives, except me. My own daughter tries to say it's okay. Is that okay? He's held a gun to her head, beat the shit out of her, etc. Yeah, people. So many people are like that, and it's very hard to understand. Like, people say, like, we don't understand why you would stay with him or whatever, but like, we don't understand how you can know that someone has had those actions and still be around them and still have them around a child. It's just not okay. It's just not. So I'm sorry that you're having to deal with that. Anyway, to wrap this up, again, LGBTQ support group Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. My brain is starting to turn off. So Trey and I would love to have you in there. Again, it's 2 coaches, trauma-informed / certified trauma recovery coach, giving you like so much almost personal attention, plus a couple other queer folks in there working through it with you. So definitely consider that if you are a part of that group. If not, I'm available for one-on-one coaching. You can go to my website, lindsaygoodman.com, to check that out and schedule an appointment. I only offer 2 sessions a week because I do have a lot of other things going on. So if you're thinking about it, go ahead and get it in. If you look on the calendar, it looks like there's a lot of availability, but once 2 people book, I close it out. So keep that in mind. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I hope to see you all again soon. I'll be on TikTok tomorrow, Facebook and YouTube. I will be back tomorrow because you're just here. So good night, drink some water, take care.